What's going on, everybody? K to the 2 here with PPL Division 2 Week 3. We are getting into the nitty-gritty of the season. Starting out 0-2 is absolutely not where I expected to be, nor is it where I want to be. So we are going to step up our prep. And unfortunately this week we have to go up against Shroom Raver. First of all, he's a really good friend of mine. Second of all, he is also 0-2, so the loser of this game will be starting 0-3, which is really hard to win a league when you start 0-3. Basically gotta win out and hope that everyone else in front of you ends up losing throughout the season. So this is going to be a pivotal moment to our season. And before we get into the teams and everything, I want to clarify. Last week I made a transfer, and I didn't say it until near the end of the video. Last week I made a transfer. I got rid of Nidoking, Mantine, and Kangaskhan, and I picked up Blissey and Toxapex. Now last week I brought Toxapex against Ellie. I just didn't clarify that I made a transfer at the beginning of my video to let you guys know that I had made a transfer. Now this week I have also made a transfer. This is why I'm going over the last week. This week I have also made a transfer. I used to have a Bayonet on my team, and now I have Dusknoir. I had some extra points sitting around after that transfer that I made for Blissey and Toxapex, so I decided to upgrade Bayonet to Dusknoir, so I get an actually useful spin blocker. It's actually useful in being bulky as hell, unlike frickin' Bayonet, which is like just bad. It's really bad. It shouldn't be worth 2. It should be worth 1. And I'm going to stand by that until the end of days. So anyway, we now have Dusknoir on a team to complete the bulk core that we have of Toxabliss and Dusknoir. So that's fun. That's a fun little core that we got there. Anyway, let's move on with our team building process. So, looking at it, I'm going to show his team on the screen right now and show mine right next to it there. Okay, so he has some threats. And right off the bat, I'm looking at Terrakion and Mamoswine. Both of them are super hard-hitting monsters, and it's going to be pretty difficult to switch into both of them. On top of that, Necrozma at the very top of his roster. His first round pick, Necrozma. It's a really hard mon to deal with overall. And he could have several different sets that he could bring. One set that I know he's not going to bring would be like Calm Mind, Stored Power, Moonlight, mono attacking Stored Power, because I do have a Dark type on my team, so he can't afford to do that. Other things that I might be expecting is a more offensive Zapdos, just because he can, really. A more offensive Zapdos. I'm pretty much 90% expecting Salazzle to come, because I do have Toxapex. And you're going to see how I deal with prepping for Salazzle. Mandibuzz could be nice. It'll probably be a better defog user than Zapdos would be against my team. Mostly because it's just a little bit bulkier in Zapdos, and well, his defogger is going to need some bulk in order to actually get off a defog this week. Vaporeon could be a thing. It's a combination. In combination with some other things, would be his best thing to handle Keldeo. Zangoose, before I picked up Dusknoir, I felt like that would have came, but now that I have Blissey, not Blissey, sorry. Now that I have Toxapex and Dusknoir, not Blissey, Blissey wouldn't, it would just die to Zangoose. Now that I have Toxapex and Dusknoir, I just don't see Zangoose coming. Mawile has some niche use, but I don't see that coming when he has 6 other Mons, potentially 7 already that could be better brings than that. And then Dragonair as well. It's probably his best switch into V-Create other than Vaporeon, but Vaporeon can get roasted by Bolt Strike. So Dragonair could be a thing that he does. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So right off the bat, I saw that he didn't have a Pursuit Trapper on his team, and I am running Banded Victini again. So let's take a look. Yep, that's a Banded Victini, of course. We got Adamant Band, and the speed on this is for Mamoswine. You're going to see that the Mamoswine is the benchmark for speed this week for a lot of my Mons. Just because I felt, well, base 80 is a pretty common speed tier on his team, and by that I mean he has that and Mandibuzz, and then Necrozma is just under 80. So if I can outspeed Mamoswine, I'm going to be outspeeding those other things. Other things that I could outspeed would include Zapdos, but that would be a speed tie if he's running max speed, and I'm thinking he'd be a more, well, I wouldn't think he would be offensive with enough coverage to take on like Blissey or Hydreigon fairly well, so I felt like not being able to outspeed an offensive Zapdos was fine, but if he's more defensive, I'm definitely going to have enough speed on this Victini to outspeed his Zapdos. Terrakion, no way I can outspeed that, so I'm fine with that. So I just decided let's have a bunch of switch-ins to a Terrakion, and that's how I dealt with that. Victini roasts a Necrozma. After rocks, it kills a non-physically defensive Necrozma. After 2 rock switch-ins, it kills a physically defensive Necrozma. Terrakion can't switch in. Mandibuzz dies after rocks. Pretty much guaranteed. Mamoswine will die. Zapdos dies. Vaporeon can't take a Bolt Strike. You can see the problem that he has with Banded Victini, and there's not really much that I have to say about it. I did throw some odd HP number on here and threw the rest in defense and SPDEF, and that's going to be it for Victini. So next up, I decided, hey, I don't want to be super weak to Mamoswine and Terrakion, so I decided to bring a Shukaberry Toxapex with the Regenerator. Now, the reason I did this is because I do expect Earthquake to be pretty spammable against my team, especially the team that I brought, especially because Serena is not a switch-in to Mamoswine. Now, having the Shukaberry allows me to get off a Scald against either Mamoswine or Terrakion. If they are already in range, that would be nice in order to kill them. However, it does give me a chance to get a burn, and then it puts them in range of things like if it's a Life Orb Mamoswine, then it puts that in range to die to a U-turn from Victini, which outspeeds, or just a Dark Pulse from Hydreigon, which you are going to see later is Scarfed. Against Terrakion as well, same thing, same problem for Terrakion is it could have, I'm kind of expecting a Z-move, especially in combination with Swords Dance or Rock Polish, or both, and being able to take a Tectonic Rage with my Shukaberry would be very nice. I burn the Z-move from that, and then it's less important. I can Scald it, get off some huge damage, I can switch out, get some Regenerator back, and come back in again, take EQs like they're nothing unless he has the Swords Dance up. So this is going to be it. I guess I should also talk about Haze. Haze is there in case of Necrozma, and that's it. I only have a problem with Necrozma with the set, really. I can Toxic the Necrozma if it isn't a subset. I can Toxic Mandibuzz, I can Toxic Zapdos, Vaporeon, all of those kinds of things, and I will be able to deal with those fairly well. So pretty standard Necrozma set, just with a Shukaberry. Next up, this is the first little bit of heat on the team. I decided I wanted something something a little bit better to actually switch in and force out Mamoswine rather than keeping Toxapex in the back as a... See, Toxapex here, its role is not to switch into the Earthquakes, it's to take an Earthquake and fire off a Scald in retaliation. Because if I'm switching in Toxapex to Mamoswine, it has a chance to burn the Sugar Berry. However, I decided, you know what, let's throw some heat on here. So I brought a physically defensive Keldeo, pretty much the same set as the Toxapex, with Scald and Toxic and Recovery. I just have Sleep Talk over Haze because that's what Keldeo does. Now, again, the benchmark for speed on this was to outspeed the Mamoswine. The reason for this is I can take 2 Scarfed Earthquakes, and I can also take, well, hold on. I can take an Earthquake from a Life Orb Mamoswine and force it out. Life Orb Mamo does 55 max, and I can always just kill it with Scald. Toxic is there mainly for Vaporeon and Mandibuzz and Necrozma, because I would like to Toxic all 3 of those things. Having Rest is really nice because then I can just, well, I can keep my Keldeo healthy and make sure that it stays a switch-in, remains to be a switch-in to Mamoswine. Having all this Fizz Def on the Keldeo will also help with Terrakion. If it is not Choice Banded, I will be very happy. If it's not already got a Swords Dance up, I can take whatever it wants to go for, kill it with Scald, potentially get a burn if I don't kill it. So you can see, I felt very happy with this Keldeo. And you can't sleep on its bulk. It's got 91, 90, 90, which is like really respectable bulk. So really, that's all I gotta say about Keldeo. I'm really excited to use this set. It's going to help me pivot around his team, and I won't be forced to switch in my Toxapex to something like an Earthquake super early in the game, potentially lose my Sugar Berry, and I can always keep Toxapex around as a late game oh shit button, like an oh Jesus car in the car when you're going around a corner really sharp. You don't know if you're gonna fall, so you grab the oh Jesus bar and you're like, ah, okay, I'm good, okay. That's Keldeo, or no, that's Toxapex. Keldeo is just like it's just fucking moving on. Next up, I felt that I was pretty weak to Salazzle, especially because I don't want my Toxapex getting toxic. Now, that is why we have Blissey, and that is why we have Hidden Power Ground on Blissey. Blissey is filling a lot of roles this week. Blissey is definitely going to help stop the special attackers that he has. Maybe not so much Necrozma, but definitely with Zapdos, with Vaporeon, with Salazzle, I can end up doing some things to them, getting up my rocks on them as they're not able to do anything to me. Just have Soft Boil to keep it healthy, have Natural Cure, because every time Salazzle comes in on Toxapex, it's going for Toxic. There's nothing else that it can really do in order to start beating Toxapex. So I can come in with Blissey right away, and I can go ahead and hit get Toxic because I have Natural Cure, and I can kill with Hidden Power Ground after a round of Stealth Rocks, which is absolutely hilarious that a Blissey has a chance to OHKO something after Stealth Rocks. That's pretty much all I gotta say. I was considering Grass Knot on this for Terrakion and Mamoswine, however I felt that just getting off S-Toss would be very nice because it puts I just tried to say Mandiswine. It puts Terrakion and Mamoswine in a revengeable range for something like Victini or Hydreigon, more especially more so Hydreigon. But I was debating also on the final move whether I wanted Ice Beam or S-Toss, and I just decided S-Toss was better for the rest of his team. I didn't want Zapdos to be able to set up a sub, so that's why I have something in that slot in order to break a sub from Zapdos. And that's going to be Blissey. In combination of my two physically defensive bonds here and a Blissey, it's going to be pretty difficult for him to break through, and I can pivot through all three of these in order to rack up some toxic damage because I have double toxic on those, and I can eventually get into Banded Victini or Scarf Hydreigon. Now both of these are going to be very good in getting some momentum going. I can U-turn into both of them, and they both hit super hard. Now, Earth Power is the first thing that I threw on here because it hits Terrakion, and it hits Salazzle, and it also hits Mawile. I needed something to hit Mawile, just in case he did bring it. Flamethrower, not really an option because Mawile is the only thing on his team weak to fire. It works for Victini because it just hits like a fucking truck because Banded V-Crate. But Hydreigon, Earth Power is just better. U-turn, of course, to keep momentum. I am a minus attack nature, but that's fine. I'm just using U-turn to gain momentum. I'm not trying to get as much damage as possible. And I did not want to lower my defense in case it happened to be a, well, of course, Ice Shard Mammo. That would be a problem. Or Rock Polish Necrozma can hit us with, I believe it gets Signal Beam on the special side, so that would be less than ideal. And we lastly have rounded out this set with Dragon Pulse and Dark Pulse. I can afford to run Modest set this week, and this is my fastest Mon on the team. I decided I needed some speed on the team, so that's why I went with Scarf Hydreigon. And Scarf Hydreigon is going to be able to outspeed most of his things unless he brings Scarf Terrakion. That's the only thing I can really see him bringing that could be a problem to force out our Hydreigon. And Dragon Pulse and Dark Pulse are just really nice against the team. Dark Pulse is really spammable as soon as Mandibuzz goes down, and if I can get up rocks with Blissey, I can pressure Mandibuzz in order to get rid of it fairly early, and I can Dragon Pulse that down until it's forced to roost or forced to defog, and then I can go from there. Dark Pulse, like I said, probably won't click it until Mandibuzz and Terrakion are gone. I definitely don't want to give Terrakion an attack boost, but justified when I already have trouble switching into it. And Hydreigon is the last thing that's faster than it. If it's Rock excuse me. If it is a Rock Polish set and I'm locked into Dark Pulse, I kind of lose. I can lose at least, because nothing really can handle that. So that's going to be Hydreigon here. Modest enough speed to outspeed Scarf Mamoswine. Scarf max speed Jolly Mamoswine. So that's going to be Hydreigon. Like I said, a lot of things are outspeeding that Mamoswine, and actually it's my top three picks. That's cool. Anyway, lastly, I decided I wanted some spin on the team, or some form of hazard removal. My hazard removal is Serena and Aerodactyl, so I'm using Serena. U-turn would be nice for some extra initiative in case he doesn't get up hazards, and just having an extra thing to throw out there against the Terrakion would be very, very useful. So that is why I have Serena in the final slot, and Trop Kick is very nice for both Terrakion and Mamoswine. Not so much Mamoswine because it can just do a lot of damage with Icicle Crash, but we're going to forget about that. After close combat, Terrakion has a chance to die to our Trop Kick. And I can live whatever a +2 non-Life Orb Jolly Terrakion wants to go for, unless it is a Z move. Unless it is a Z move, in which case I would be pretty afraid of that. And I would lose a Mon to it, and I don't think I want to lose Serena to it. It's just, it's going to be a thing that crosses my mind. if he ever gets to get up a sword stance with his Terrakion, Serena could just straight up die to a Z move, which would not be ideal. But Dropkick is just very nice. It helps, especially with the Terrakion, like I said. Helps wear down Vaporeon. I have U-Turn on here because Salazzle's a pretty good switch-in, Zapdos is a pretty good switch-in, and Manabus are alright switch-ins. But then I bring in Victini, and then he goes, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. And that's like at least what I hope will happen here. Having Spin is going to be very nice to protect our Victini, and having Synthesis, of course, will be very nice just to take on something like non-setup Terrakion. Like if it's Scarf Terrakion, I can heal up on it. Against Vaporeon, it would be very nice just to be able to heal up if he has Ice Beam or if he has Toxic. I can get off some extra Dropkick damage before finally going down to the Toxic. And yeah, that's about it for the team. Let me know what you guys think of the team, and I will see you guys tomorrow when we battle our good friend Shroom Raver. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next time.